but she was a huge international historical figure, wasn't she?
She certainly was, and I think much more so than people have thought during her reign. It's the sort of thing which you realise when you step back, which of course we're doing at the moment, but also sort of while she was alive, if you sort of step back and thought about it, there was a real influence there. If you start with the Commonwealth, because that was very dear to her heart, and she developed that a very close relationship, a friendship indeed, with Commonwealth leaders. But as you were also hearing there, with the people of the Commonwealth as well, because the sort of connection that she had simply by travelling around, by being seen and by meeting people, meant that she became an international figure far more than most national leaders are ever able to do. It's very noticeable, for example, that not only was she travelling around Australia a lot, but it was in Australia and New Zealand. It was on a trip there in, I think, late 60s, late 60s, I think, when she first did that walkabout, and of course walkabout an Australian term, of going and meeting people, sort of breaking away from the formal procession part, as it were, going over to the barriers, talking with the people, which she then did on all her occasions, all around the world. And that's direct contact, which I think people in the United Kingdom are very aware of, but sort of forget that it was there for people elsewhere as well, meant that this is, I suppose only someone like the Pope has got that sort of direct connection with people from so many different parts of the world, so many different languages, so many different nationalities. And that was something very special. And it gave her a sort of prestige, far beyond the borders of her realm. And in terms of international influence, you've got that's close friendship with American presidents. You've got the sort of respect with European heads of state, as well as the friendship with Commonwealth ones. And this, I can't think of anyone really who can replicate that sort of direct influence on such a wide scale. So yes, she certainly was a figure in the operation of the world, and therefore in the story of world history in the 20th and 21st centuries.
Sean, the recent celebrations for the Platinum Jubilee really magnified how significant the Queen has been through crises in particular. And as we now talk about today, we have a monarch that's left us at a time when the world is in crisis again. What does that mean for the next phase as King Charles III takes the throne and now is effectively steering a nation, Britain, in mourning, but also in crisis? And as we take a look around the world, many nations facing difficulties now too. How do you prepare for something like that when we're at such a difficult crossroads at this point?
I suppose one way to prepare is to spend your whole life in preparation, as he has. It's a difficult role. It's a delicate one because of the limitations of the Constitution, and of course he's had the very best sort of training through his life, simply by the example of his mother, the Queen, of the difference between speaking out as a citizen and as you can, and then the very, very sort of tight limitations that the Constitution imposes upon the sovereign. And that is an adjustment that he will have to make. Indeed, he must be making now, but it's also one, of course, of which he's fully aware.